The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, everyone, welcome back to another KevCam night class tonight. Tonight, have Greg helping out with questions, concerns, and making sure I'm on my answering all my questions for you guys. Greg, you with us?
I am with you, Kevin. Good evening, everybody.
Absolutely, and we were supposed to have Andrew in here helping us, but he is out sick. No corona. All right. So I do see a couple new names in here. So I'll just go over quick housekeeping skills. Everyone is in mute just to eliminate any background noise. If you guys do have questions, which hopefully you guys do, there is a questions panel, and go ahead and type those in there, and Greg will stop me in my tracks, and we'll get those answered right away for you. Night classes are solely dedicated for you guys, so if you guys do have suggestions or ideas that you'd like to see in the future, send those over to me via email, or you can send them over to Greg. Right, Greg?
Yep, absolutely.
But for those, let me get my email address in there for everyone, because that's where I was heading. Let me get in the chat here. Right. All right, so everybody should have my email address in the GoToMeeting chat. Send those ideas over. If you guys would like to see a previous video, you guys can go to YouTube and type in SolidCam University or KevCam. It'll pull up my ugly mug shot here along with our SolidCam University channel, and you can see all the night classes in here, as well as both Mark and I, but mostly Mark, has been doing a SolidCam live every day at 2 o'clock Central Time or Eastern Time, and it's a half-hour free training class, kind of like what we're doing here, but it's kind of during the day. So, all right. With that being said, we'll get the ball rolling tonight, and we are going to be covering what's new with HSS and simultaneous 5-axis. Not a whole lot in here to talk about, but some very good stuff in here. And this should be a little bit of a short class for you guys, but we'll get the ball rolling here. So, first thing that I would like to point out in HSS and 5-axis, and this has been this way for ever since I've been at SolidCam. If you guys are looking at 5-axis and you're a little bit nervous on, programming 5-axis, if you guys have used HSS before, HSS and 5-axis are identical. The only difference is on the motion control page, when you're running 5-axis, you will have your angles and how you want that head to be tilted. So if you're scared of the 5-axis, it's the exact same thing as HSS. So one of the new features that they've added in here is, I'm just going to make a quick change here. Maybe we'll just put a drive offset of 0.001. When I save and calculate now, or if I need to calculate an operation, you'll see this new calculation dialog that pops up for you guys. I'm going to put this back at 0. So in the past, when HSS or 5-axis was calculating, you weren't able to see a progress bar at all. So this is something that you guys have asked for, and it has been implemented in there for you. So really cool feature. And they also tell us that the HSS calculation, as well as the 5-axis calculation, you should see a faster calculation time in there as well. So that was the first thing that I want to show you. Now, second thing, inside, and like I said, I'm just going to be more focusing on the HSS because it's the exact same between HSS and 5-axis. If you guys go into your roughing and more, we have all these options in here of additional features, roughing, mirroring, stock definition, and whatnot. So if I come in here and let's say I turn on my multi-passes, we'll do 10 passes at 1 millimeter, and maybe I want to do translate, maybe I want to do some stock. So as it was in the past, if I wanted to go in there and turn something off, I would have to physically go click on the button and go in there and turn it off. So now what they've done is they made it a little bit easier for you guys. And if you would like to turn it off, just hit the checkbox and that will automatically turn it off. Now, if you click on the stock definition button, it's going to reopen the dialog for you, and then you can turn it off that way as well. But it makes it a little bit easier for you guys to kind of toggle back and forth by turning on or off by clicking the checkbox here. So nice little, nothing huge, but it is something that will definitely help you out saving some time there. Okay, any questions on those two easy things?
Nothing so far. Yeah, I think that one would be a good one to use if you're using the multi-passes or the depth cuts to rough something out and you wanted to come in with a finish pass. You could easily use that save and copy feature.
Yep.
And then just uncheck the depth cuts.
Yep.
And save and calculate, and you're on your way.
Absolutely. Anything to speed up that process for everyone, that's the main goal. Now, yes, we want to exit. So now what I'm going to show you guys is, all right, Greg, you got to remind me, I got to stop saying guys, because that's what I've been told. So what I'm going to do here is, a new feature is the boundaries. Now, we've had the boundaries in HSS and 5-axis for a while, but you were not able to have multiple boundaries. So what a boundary, what I'll do here is I'm just going to do a quick sketch. We'll just throw a simple circle there, and maybe a boundary there. All right, good enough. So now I'm going to call those sketches as boundaries. You can see that they're drawn on a 2D plane, so I don't have to project them down to the surface. I can keep it up on any plane that I would like. I can have it sitting 10 inches above there if I would like. So if I go ahead and turn on our toolpath now, you'll see our toolpath is going through that region. So now with the 2020 HSS and 5-axis, if I go to my geometry page, I can turn on 2D user-defined boundary, and I can grab that circle as well as the slot here. So now I have two boundaries. I'm telling it to stay contained with that area. Now, if I'm projecting this from other than Z-axis, I can do, X, Y, Z, or do a specific. But what I'm telling it to do now is to keep only the toolpath that is in that designated boundary. So now you'll see that we have, get used to my 3D connection mouse on the other computer, that we have our two different sections. And you can see that my toolpath is, when it's going from the circle over to the slot, is just doing a follow surface. So if I don't want it to follow along that surface, what I can do is come in here, go back to my links, and we can say safety distance. And large gaps, I'll do safety distance. And now it's coming up off of the workpiece, so we're not, can everybody see that? It's coming off by the safety distance, but let's go to the clearance here. That way it'll be a very easy. So now you can see that it is only doing the toolpath per my boundaries. And like I said, in years past, you could only do one single boundary, where now you can have multiple boundaries. And everything that I'm showing you guys tonight is all off of your guys' suggestions. So keep the feedback coming, because we love hearing it, and we will definitely do whatever it takes to get that software up to par as well. So
now, Kevin, we've got a couple questions here.
Yeah.
One of them is, can we utilize the boundaries as avoidance areas?
Yes. So what you can do is do a gouge check against that area as well. So if you wanted to do a reverse rule and go to our working area, let's get our toolpath looking back the way it was. Okay. Well, at least I think we can. Gouge check. And do, so what I have to do is I have to convert it into an actual surface to do that. The only other thing, let me try something here. If I go to my working area, got that chain, and we'll do our constant Z, and then mark open edges. Oops, mark chains is open. So to answer your question, yes, you can, but what you would have to do is take that sketch and do a surface break. And by doing that, yes. So what we can do is come over to our file here, our design, and we'll edit this model. And we'll do Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay.
I think it was out for the majority of it.
Oh, sorry about that. All right. For some reason, I am not getting this to project or do our surface, our projection curve here. Unless you have any ideas there, Greg.
I think it's because your curve extends past. What do you think about just doing it as a surface extrude? That way, when the tool runs into that surface on a gouge check, it'll omit that area.
Good call.
I mean, this is the long way around the question. Yeah. I would say that it'd probably make for a better feature request to be able to omit those areas by surfaces or by sketches.
We're actually going to be getting into the HSS, so I can show you guys how to do this a little bit better. I thought it would have been something a little bit simpler here, but yeah. So basically, if you guys do a surface break there, or like Greg was saying, is a surface extrude, then you have basically on this particular area, you would have two different surfaces. So what we'd do in that case is we'd come in there for HSS, and we wouldn't use the boundary because the boundary is to keep the toolpath contained. But if we go to our gouge check and we turn on our gouge check and tell it our check surfaces, and we tell it to do everything minus that circle of that surface, then it will do all the tool path completely avoiding that as well. So for what you're looking for. So, okay.
Yeah, I didn't even a filled surface for either of those sketches would do the job as long as you weren't using like a lollipop cutter or something like that.
Yep.
That had the capability of doing an undercut.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So going on to the next question, we have Jake is asking if you had it separated out by working area, those two pieces, could you have it do just the circle and then move over to the slot geometry?
Yep. So for that, so let's get back, let's turn that on here. And just make sure I got those working areas. Okay. And let's get our tool path. That's because I opened up those. Re-grab these here, constant Z. All right. So instead of going back and forth, it's a little bit tough because what the design intent of doing separate areas is for completely one surface over here versus a surface over here. So to do that, we can go to our toolpath parameters, click on the sorting tab, and we can do machine by, instead of lanes, we can do machine by regions. Now, it may, we'll have to see how the toolpath looks here, but okay, so yep, it is doing it. So what we're doing is we're telling it to, you can kind of see in the picture right here, if I can get my mouse, there we go. So it's gonna do every region first before it goes on to the next region. So now you can see we're doing a complete zigzag on this one over here. Once it finishes that complete circle, it's gonna come up and it's gonna start doing the slot feature over here. So to answer your question, yep, that's how you do it. It is going to be your machine by regions versus machine by lanes. Great question.
Cool. I think that clears out our questions for right now. If you want to move on to the next topic.
Excellent. I don't got much more, but next thing I'd like to show you guys is nope, it's in the part. Yeah, hop over there for you guys. So this isn't something too huge, but it was definitely by high request here. So
Yeah, this one would have been a nice one to have when I was in a shop.
yep,
I really like this one.
yep. So now we have 3 completely separate parts. And now we were just talking about with Jake's question, you know, machine by lanes versus machine by regions. We'll go ahead and open up this toolpath. Well, actually, let's just start fresh. Delete this. And we'll go to our SolidCAM 3D HSS. Parallel to curve. So now I have multiple drive surfaces that are completely separated. They're not connected in any way whatsoever. Edge curve, just grab that one for that, this one for here, this one for here. And I don't know if you guys knew this, but you can pick multiple sketch curves in your operation itself. It doesn't have to be one particular curve. Grab our end mill here. Levels are, well, here's another good one that I would like to show you that is new. Before, you guys were used to seeing this dialog right here. Either you had the option for plane or cylinder. Now they've added in there a new feature where it's automatically going to find your clearances. Now this isn't too huge with HSS, but when you get into the simultaneous 5-axis, this is definitely your new best friend. So now we don't have to figure out, all right, how big is our cylinder or how big is our rotary or anything like that. We can just go right to automatic now, and it will automatically find all those for you. So real cool feature that they've added in there. Now, let's go ahead and let's just save and calculate. And right now, we go to our sorting. We'll switch it over. Instead of lanes, we'll go to regions. And now, Jake was saying in the comments, you know, there's a lot less retracts in there, which is very true. Now, if you wanted to skip over that, and this isn't anything of what's new, but just to kind of show you, is if we just wanted to, instead of coming up to our clearance or just work on this part, be done, move over to this part, be done, move over to this part, we can also come over and go to our, links. And any large gaps, we can say follow surface. And what it will do is it will just bridge over those and kind of fill it in. But you're still getting a lot of wasted cycle time cut in the air. So, I mean, that's not ideal, but if you guys ever run across that situation, you can do it that way. But let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and switch it back to regions. Now, in the past, when we wanted to do a surface extension for all these faces, all we have in our surface extension is start, end, and side extensions. Well, now what they've done is they've added it so each one of these can have their extensions added on there. So for this particular one, if we go ahead and let's just say 100% of our tool diameter, and now, so in 2019, it would have just extended our first initial cut in right here, as well as our end cut over here. It would have done nothing for the center part right here. So now, if we go ahead and save and calculate, you'll see that it does a surface extension for all of our tool paths, just not the one part and ending on the other part. Now it does it for all of the parts. So that's definitely a great new feature that they've added in there.
Yeah, it really cleans up the cam tree because you no longer have to create 3 separate operations for to do these surfaces.
Absolutely. All right. Now, with that being said, that is basically all the new features that they've added with HSS and simultaneous 5-axis. Like I said, these are both identical. The only differences are our tool control page is going to look a little bit different for the 5-axis. But any questions from anyone on what I just covered here? Like I said, I know it's a little bit shorter than our normal class, but that is kind of in a nutshell, or that's everything that they've added in for the HSS and 5-axis. So don't see anything coming in through. So with that being said, next week we will get the ball rolling on all the new features that they've added in for the beta simulator. And that actually may be I'll see if I can get that all fit in for all into one class. And then from there, we got some general information. And then we also have some new toolpath that has been added in there, which is the undercutting. So I'll show you guys here. If we add milling, you have now undercut milling right here. So I'll show you guys that coming up in the future as well. So, all right, so I don't see anything coming through. So I just want to thank everyone for joining the night class. Like I said earlier today, if you guys have time during the day at 2 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Central, we are doing a Solid Cam Live. That is basically pretty much, it's kind of what it is. It's live. So we get a lot of questions that come through from customers. If we don't have any questions to come through on customers, we'll think of something that we run across maybe that day doing tech support, and we'll teach you guys however we can, especially through this crazy time. But all right, I'll end it off there. Greg, got anything else before we shut it down?
No, I think that's pretty good. The only other thing that I can think of, and it's kind of old at this point, but just the new tools that we have at our disposal, the oval form tools.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great point.
The lens form. I know they started coming out last year, but it's also a great thing that we're adding these new types of tools for people that are doing deep cavity molds, and we can take advantage of using these tools, utilizing HSS and the simultaneous 5-axis option.
Yep. So we have what's called the barrel shape, which is really good for like vertical kind of tapered walls. So instead of getting, to get a really smooth finish when you're doing on a wall that has a slight draft, we would have to do a very small step down to accommodate that. Well, with the barrel cutter now, you can actually take a much larger step down and also get that same surface finish that you're trying to cheat for. Same thing as with the oval form, as well as the lens, as well as the barrel taper tool. So like Greg was saying, these are all supported in your guys' tool libraries. And if you're ever curious on what operations will support specific tools, what you can do is, let's say Ronnie's looking to add a drilling operation. Now, when you go to the tool and maybe Ronnie wants to use that lens tool, but he doesn't know if that's supported, you can click add new tool and it will show you the tools that are actually supported by that operation. So you can see, like, we don't have our circular saw down here. We don't have a keyway cutter in there. We don't have our lens. So this is a good way to see what tools are supported by the operation, or what operations are supported by the tools. So great point, Greg. I totally forgot about that. All right. Well, did I lose audio again?
No, you're still with us.
I heard I clicked. I'm like, oh, was that another one? With the everybody working from home, GoToWebinar has been, I think, a little bit overloaded lately. So, but all right, I'll stop rambling here. Everyone have a wonderful, great rest of your night, great rest of your week. Stay healthy. hope everybody is doing good out there. And any questions that we can help you out with, send those over to me via email. Love talking with you guys, as well as everybody that's watching this on YouTube. My email is in the description of the video. Send those questions over, and I'll get those addressed right away for you. And with that being said, have a great night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.